What's going on, girls and guys? It's your host, Arachnid Soul, once again here to review the New Japan Pro Wrestling versus Ring of Honor War of the Worlds pay-per-view. It took place this past Saturday night, May 17th in New York City. It was a jam-packed, sold-out Hammerstein Ballroom. The venue actually set a record for Ring of Honor, selling out a large venue faster than any other event has in Ring of Honor history. 3,000 in attendance, Hammerstein Ballroom, the Manhattan Center. It's Midtown, 6 weeks in advance. The tickets were gone. You could not find a ticket anywhere in New York City. Let's run down this amazing, spectacular event. Before the event started, the crowd was hot, and the opening contest, the preliminary match, pre-pay-per-view, did not disappoint. Caprice Ice Coleman, as I'm still calling him because I'm a big NWA Wildside fan from back in the day, I know it's Anarchy now, took on Adam Page, the young boy, no disrespect, of the decade. Adam Page was joined at ringside by ROH legend, the Zombie Princess, Jimmy Jacobs. Because we've got so much to cover, I'm just gonna glaze over this one. It was Caprice Ice Coleman getting the Duke over Adam Page. Let's go to the actual on-air matches. In the opening contest, Ring of Honor and New Japan opened the event hot. It was ACH, aka the Other Hardy, teaming up with Matt Taven and Tommaso Ciampa. They took on the Forever Hooligans of Adam Kozlov and the Havana Pitbull, former Havana Pitbull, Rocky Romero. They were also joined by Takaki Watanabe. In this six-man war, these two unleashed all of their signature moves, all of their trademark moves. I keep telling you guys, the Forever Hooligans are one of the best tag teams on the planet. Two vets in the ring, and I'm glad to see Kozlov finally doing something on a big stage that's getting over, that's working with the fans, and that's showcasing his abilities. It was at the 4-minute and 30-second mark that we actually saw the team of ACH, Matt Taven, and Tommaso Ciampa get the Duke over their opponents. It was Matt Taven hitting what some Impact Wrestling fans would call the 1%er. Matt Taven's been doing it a long time. He calls it the climax. It was the reverse DDT. ACH, Matt Taven, and Tommaso Ciampa get the Duke. What an awesome opening contest. We then move on to match number 2. We talked about the Decade a little bit earlier. It was the Decade members. BJ Whitmer, he teamed up with Roderick Strong. Joined at ringside once again, no disrespect, was their young boy, Adam Page, and the Zombie Princess, who we saw in the pre-show. They took on the world-class tag team of Gato and Jado, Steve Corino at ringside, putting over Jado and Gato as the important power brokers of New Japan Pro Wrestling that they are. Jado and Gato have been tagged up for the better part of 20 years. A lot of people remember their excursion in the late 90s into ECW. Some of those matches on Hardcore TV against the Impact players. Let's break this match down. Roderick Strong, always so impressive. I cannot wait for him to eventually get back on top of Ring of Honor and probably capture that Ring of Honor World Championship. At the same time, I wouldn't mind seeing him go over to Japan for a little bit. Let's see if maybe he could capture that New Japan Intercontinental Championship, possibly become one of the rare few to win the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. It was in this match that we saw Jado and Gato breaking out some of their trademark tag team moves. The crowd was with them. The crowd was behind them all night. The crowd so with, so behind the New Japan talent, at times chanting New Japan. Really, no one got booed too badly on this event. Well, maybe the exception of Mike Bennett, who we'll talk about later on. It was at the 8-minute and 40-second point that we actually saw the Decade, BJ Whitmer and Roderick Strong, defeat Jado and Gedo. It was a brilliant match. This is one for anyone out there who's interested in tag team wrestling. Watch this one. And when we talk about tag team wrestling, stay with us, because I believe we're going to talk about possibly the greatest tag team match to take place this year in any wrestling promotion. Match number 3 was for the Ring of Honor World Television Championship. We saw Kushida from New Japan Pro Wrestling, one half of that tag team called the Time Splitters. Alex Shelley was not in attendance. He took on Jay Lethal. Jay Lethal coming to the ring with his new manager, the former leader of the House of Truth. The former leader of that thing called Hoopla. That's right. Unfortunately, Jay Lethal was there with Truth Martini. Anyway, this match started out the high pace, the catch as catch can, the lucha libre style, the Japanese junior heavyweight style. Jay Lethal and Kushida starting out hot, starting out fast. The rapid fire attacks at the same time, the rapid fire defense. It was almost like years ago in that same building, Jerry Lynn and RVD. And if you remember how those matches used to start out, or Super Crazy and Yoshihiro Tajiri, that's exactly how this thing started off. It was about 60 seconds of high-paced action, nothing connecting, and finally we saw a standoff. And it was a semi-standing ovation from the respectful Ring of Honor and New Japan wrestling fans in attendance in New York City Midtown at the Hammerstein Ballroom. Jay Lethal executing a number of suicide dives, a number of tope suicidas. At one point did connect with the Lethal combination, the Uranagi style backbreaker into that flatliner, shades of the late great Chris Kanyon. At the same time, Kushida, one of the fastest up-and-coming wrestlers, a number of moonsaults, a number of kicks, wrestling that Japanese junior heavyweight style to perfection. At the end of the night, when we saw a number of close falls, a number of close 2.9 counts, it was Jay Lethal putting together a combination. We saw that front handspring into the reverse jump. He catches Kushida with the ace crusher, with the diamond cutter, if you will. He calls that the lethal injection. Jay Lethal then on top of Kushida. Referee in position 1, 2, 3. Jay Lethal retains the Ring of Honor World Television Championship in a spectacular junior heavyweight belt. It was match number 4. It was for the IWGP, the International Wrestling Grand Prix World Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. We saw hashtag Dem Boys, Mark and Jay, the Briscoes from Sandy Fork, Delaware, taking on the Machine Gun Carl Anderson and his tag team partner, the Director of Chaos, Doc Gallows. Those two representing the Bullet Clubs, those two going in as the champions. Doc Gallows, the Director of Chaos, underutilized in former organizations, kind of came into his own with the Aces and Eights in TNA Impact Wrestling. When those contract negotiations fell through, he jumped to New Japan Pro Wrestling. I've never been more impressed by this guy. One of the up-and-coming best big men in this sport. What a tremendous tag team match once again. Every card on this event was superb. This match was no exception. If you've been watching Ring of Honor over the past 12 years, I don't need to sing the praises of Mark and Jay to you. I don't need to tell you how awesome the Briscoe brothers were, but maybe you're less familiar with the Bullet Club of Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson. The tag team work that we saw on behalf of both teams, all four men in this match, American. All four men in this match able to communicate with one another, because in other matches, we saw people who were Japanese teamed up with people who were American. The communication wasn't there, but they still pulled it off. That was not the case in this match. Everyone speaking English. These two went out there. And let's talk about the American Ring of Honor fans for a second. Usually the Bullet Club, which is 90% American, gets booed every time they walk out in Japan. Here in the United States, the fans so respectful, especially in Ring of Honor, of all of the athletes, and especially when they see someone they might not get to see on a weekly basis because they usually wrestle on the other side of the globe. There was no booing in this match. The fans just wanted to see great action, and they did. Once again, it was for the IWGP World Tag Team Championships. It was at the 10-minute and 40-second mark when I believe the Bullet Club scored the upset over Mark and Jay. Dem boys, the Briscoe brothers, the Bullet Club of Director of Chaos Gallows and the Machine Gun Carl Anderson retain your IWGP World Tag Team Championship. Match number 5. To me, this was one of the matches I wanted to see more than any other card on this New Japan tour. It was the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura, taking on Kill Steen Kill, Kevin Steen. This was a singles match. The crowd was into it from the time Shinsuke Nakamura-san's music hit in the Manhattan Center. And you also know the response that Kevin Steen gets in that building. It was not too long ago that Kevin Steen, in that building, in a brutal, bloody, aggressive match, defeated the King of Old School, the God of professional wrestling, Steve Corino. It was that night that Kevin Steen was reinstated in Ring of Honor. The fans in New York City have not forgotten that match. They've not forgotten the matches, not only teaming with, but going against the generic luchador, El Generico. What an amazing battle this was. Shinsuke Nakamura and Kevin Steen, I'm calling it now. We might never see this match again, but I hope we do. I don't care if it's later on a Ring of Honor show. I don't care if Kevin Steen goes to Japan. These two blew the roof off the building. Shinsuke Nakamura, a man who spent a lot of time in Japan, is so good at adapting styles. He can do Japanese pro wrestling, American pro wrestling, MMA, shoot boxing. He can wrestle a more methodical style or go more high-paced. This match was everything you expected. Every trademark, every signature from both men. At the end of the night, when these two had beaten the crap out of one another, we saw Shinsuke Nakamura with the avalanche-style Bombaye, that knee strike off the middle rope. He followed that up with a basement-style Bombaye, covers Kevin Steen, only gets a 1 count, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin Steen, with the fighting spirit, gets back up. Shinsuke Nakamura hits the ropes, hits the cables, comes back, full head of steam, drills your boy Kevin Steen square between the eyes. Lateral press, 1, 2, 3, to your victor, the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. That pinfall taking place at 12 minutes and 48 seconds. What a war. Ring of Honor, New Japan, please sign the rematch. It was in match number 6 that the ace of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Hiroshi Tanahashi, took on Michael Bennett. Bennett joined by his girlfriend at ringside, Maria Kanellis. Now, I have to tell you, I've talked about how respectful the Ring of Honor fans are. I've talked about how no one really got booed on this event. Michael Bennett may be the example. The Ring of Honor fans, they might respect Michael Bennett for his wrestling ability. They do not like him. Michael Bennett had some heat in the building, to say the least, and the crowd damn near blew the roof off the Manhattan Center when Hiroshi Tanahashi entered that venue. This match was also very awesome, almost the same way that Kevin Steen and Shinsuke Nakamura was. We remember Hiroshi Tanahashi has competed in the United States before. It was around 2006 when we remember him competing in TNA Impact Wrestling, not only against AJ Styles, but also on TNA Explosion. Hiroshi Tanahashi is one of those guys who you can tell not only grew up watching Japanese pro wrestling, but also watched American pro wrestling. So good at both styles is the former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion Hiroshi Tanahashi. A man who has more title defenses of that championship in one reign above and far beyond any of the other 59 world champions that company has ever had. Let's break down this match. Hiroshi Tanahashi hitting all of his trademark moves. We actually saw the high fly flow from the top rope to the outside. That's a frog splash style cross-body plancha. Nailed Mike Bennett. The crowd went nuts. The streamers were flying all night. Mike Bennett hitting his blockbuster, hitting his side effect, call it what you will. Maria at ringside, being the distraction. I mean, hell, this was almost a handicap match when you think about how much Maria Kanellis involved herself in this match. At one point, Hiroshi Tanahashi looked like he might have had the match won via submission. Maria gets in the ring. Hiroshi Tanahashi gets away from Michael Bennett, grabs Maria as she wanted to slap Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi, with a double leg on Maria Kanellis, takes her down and locks her in an elevated Texas Cloverleaf. Hell, maybe we'll call that the Tokyo Cloverleaf. In any case, Maria Kanellis getting her just desserts. It was her earlier on, actually making a move on Hiroshi Tanahashi, actually kissing him at ringside. Tanahashi wanted no part of it. I gotta believe that Maria just did that for herself, by the way. At the end of the night, we saw Hiroshi Tanahashi hit the Sling Blade, a move that maybe you've seen Jeff Hardy do. That wraparound sit-out lariat, a trademark move of Hiroshi Tanahashi. Tanahashi-san climbing to the top rope, climbing to the Falcon's Nest. For the Hayabusa fans out there, off the top with that beautiful frog splash he calls the high fly flow. Hooked the leg. 1, 2, 3. Hiroshi Tanahashi in New York City last Saturday night with his signature hold defeats Mike Bennett. What an amazing encounter this was. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a rematch, just because, hell, every time in the past Michael Bennett has had a match against a legend and lost, he always bitches, he always gripes, he always complains, and there's always an eventual rematch. Match number 7 was for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championship. This might have been the match that stole the show. Let me introduce you to the players. On one side of the ring, the challengers Red Dragon, Bobby Fish, and Kyle O'Reilly. At ringside, they had UFC fighter Tom Lawler. They took on the Young Bucks of Nick and Matt Jackson. Some people might remember them as Max and Jeremy Buck, Generation Me. Of course, the Young Bucks representing the Bullet Club, coming in with both the Ring of Honor World Tag Team Championships and the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships. Folks, if you're fans of pro wrestling, whether it's the American style, whether it's the Japanese style, and if you're fans of tag team wrestling, this is one of the matches of the year. This thing was spectacular, top to bottom. The crowd, first of all, was behind everyone. Kyle O'Reilly has come so far since he was just another guy you used to see at ringside when Davey Richards, the American Wolf, would have a match. Kyle O'Reilly has truly come into his own. This tag team of Red Dragon, I hate to keep saying it, unquestionably one of the best tag teams in the world, one of the best tag teams over the past 10 to 15 years, anywhere, in any league, in any promotion in the world. And I know they're still a young tag team. They haven't been together that long, and that's a big statement to make. But when you watch these guys week in, week out, month in, month out, and on this pay-per-view, you will see exactly what I'm talking about. When you get 4 junior heavyweights, 4 cruiserweights, 4 X Division style wrestlers, call them what you will, in tag team warfare, you can only expect them to tear the house down, and they did. The Young Bucks, Nick and Matt Jackson. I mean, we saw tornillo planches, aka corkscrews to the outside. We saw slingshot moonsaults. At one point, I've got to tell you about this. It looked like the Young Bucks were defeated. It looked like they had the match lost. It was Matt Jackson. He was in a guillotine choke. Now imagine this. His brother comes off the top, a 450 splash, Veg-O-Matic. I didn't see Jim Cornette at ringside, but I can tell you the Midnight Express would have been proud. That match right there is a match of the year contender, and that spot garnered the Young Bucks a 2.9 count. We not only saw the high flying, we saw the technical wrestling, we saw the catch-as-catch-can, we saw the submission wrestling. We talked about how Kyle O'Reilly trained with the American Wolves. We talked about how he trained with Davey Richards. Kyle O'Reilly's kind of bringing that American strong style. I know some of the fans are kind of split on whether they like that or not. It's that BJJ / pro wrestling hybrid style that he brings into the ring. At the end of the night, we saw the Young Bucks looking for more bang for your buck. It's that kamikaze front roll, the moonsault, the 450 splash combo. It did not work out. What we actually saw was Kyle O'Reilly. Imagine this. He countered a moonsault with a go-go plata, with a triangle choke. I don't even know how to describe it. You guys are just going to have to find this match somewhere and watch it. I've never seen that done in any sport. It is maybe the first time it's ever happened. It's the first time I've seen it. I cannot sing the praises of this match enough. This might have been the match of the night. It's going to be one of the matches of the year. I'm sure this will be all over Ring of Honor compilation DVDs in months and in years to come. In any case, Hammerstein Ballroom Tag Team Championships of Ring of Honor were on the line. And guess what? It is Red Dragon. It is Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly actually coming up with the win. What we saw was Chasing the Dragon, which is a brain buster, and while the guy's hung up, it's a Muay Thai roundhouse kick from the other tag team partner to the back of the skull. That was followed up with a modified Juji Gatami from Kyle O'Reilly on Matt Jackson. He also grapevined the leg in a submission hold that, quite honestly, I don't know the name of. His brother could not make the save, and Matt Jackson actually did tap out. You have new Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, Red Dragon. Bobby Fish and Kyle O'Reilly get the Duke. Tom Lawler playing a lot of interference at ringside. What an amazing counter this was. Fans, if you can get a replay, you have to see this world title match. And talking about world titles, let's move on to the singles world title of Ring of Honor. Let's talk about the legend from Japan, Jushin Thunder Liger, coming all the way across the pond to challenge Adam Cole in singles action for the Ring of Honor World Championship. Now, when we talk about World Championships in most organizations, they're called the World Heavyweight Championship. Ring of Honor years ago went out of its way to make clear that the Ring of Honor World Championship is not a heavyweight championship. It's just for the best wrestler. That best wrestler can be a heavyweight. That best wrestler can be a junior heavyweight. When we talk about New Japan Pro Wrestling, that IWGP World Heavyweight Championship is a heavyweight belt. There have been cruiserweights or junior heavyweights who have competed for it, but it is mainly a heavyweight belt. And that's the reason you haven't seen Jushin Thunder Liger in 1,000 main events for that belt. Here in Ring of Honor, Jushin Thunder Liger, with about a 2-pound weight difference. I believe Liger came in at 209. Adam Cole coming in at 207. So a 2-pound weight advantage there. Two junior heavyweights competing for Ring of Honor's top singles prize. In this match, you got to see that Liger that you remember taking on Brian Pillman, Clash of the Champions, WCW Monday Nitro. You got to see exactly why Jushin Thunder Liger is so good at wrestling the Puroresu style, but at the same time can wrestle that Puroresu / American Pro Wrestling style and do it better than maybe anyone else on the planet. Jushin Thunder Liger with the Shote palm strikes, with the peppering palm strikes. We saw those chops. We saw the capo kicks. Liger pulling out the brain buster. Liger coming off the top rope with the high risk moves. Diving to the outside. Jushin Thunder Liger brought his A game to New York City. But let's talk about let's talk about Adam Cole. I don't know why I keep calling him Kyle O'Reilly. It was last week on the previous Ring of Honor pay-per-view in Toronto that Adam Cole was successful in defeating Kevin Steen and keeping that belt. Adam Cole, no pun intended, not to rhyme, Adam Cole is on a roll. Here's a guy who's winning matches clean, winning matches fair. The fans might not like him, but they do respect him. Adam Cole was so smart, going to an old school wrestling strategy, knows that Liger likes to wrestle those fast-paced matches, likes to come off the top, likes to dive. We saw Cole going after the legs, going after the knees of Jushin Thunder Liger, and at the end of the day, after a series of close falls by both, it did work. It was Adam Cole hitting that trademark super kick on Jushin Thunder Liger. No, he did not get a 3 count. He then goes back to the injured knee of Jushin Thunder Liger, centering in New York City. Adam Cole with the figure 4 leg lock. I wanted Liger to come out of this with the Ring of Honor World Championship. He did not. Jushin Thunder Liger was defeated this past Saturday night with the figure 4 at the Ring of Honor / New Japan War of the Worlds pay-per-view when Liger tapped out. Adam Cole does retain your Ring of Honor World Heavyweight Championship. Now we've got to wonder, is Adam Cole in the future, maybe at best in the world, who's he going to take on? Who's the next challenger? Is it Michael Elgin maybe? Will it be AJ Styles? Will Liger come back? Will it be Okada? Stay tuned, folks. In any case, this match was spectacular. Liger had an awesome intro. He had kind of his Japanese anime intro mixed with a music video. Liger might have got more streamers than anyone else that night. The fans respect Liger. When Liger comes to your hometown, go see him. I don't know how much longer Liger's going to be around, but he still looks in top form. Now, to talk about match number 9, to talk about the main event, we have to talk about what happened when this pay-per-view opened. The first people through the curtain were the Bullet Club, led by AJ Styles, the current reigning and defending IWGP World Heavyweight Champion. AJ Styles was in the ring, and then the man who he defeated for that belt on May 3rd, Okada, came out. Before Okada could say anything, Michael Elgin, the man who was scheduled to go one-on-one that night with AJ Styles for that belt, came out. Elgin saying to official Nigel McGuinness, and Nigel McGuinness discussing it with New Japan Pro Wrestling officials at ringside, Elgin wanted this match to now be a 3-way dance. A lot of people don't understand why an individual going in as the challenger would want a one-on-one match to become a 3-way dance. You've got to understand the motivation of Michael Elgin. One of the dreams of Michael Elgin is to wrestle in Japan. This almost guarantees that Michael Elgin will go to Japan to wrestle, because if he wins the belt, it's the IWGP belt. It's New Japan's top singles prize. he would go to Japan. At the same time, this starts a little feud between him and Okada. At the same time, with Ring of Honor watching, with New Japan watching, and with New Japan officials at home watching, this exposes Michael Elgin to the New Japan upper management. In any case, Nigel McGuinness did sign that match, and it was later on in the main event that we saw AJ Styles, the IWGP champion, defend against not one, but two individuals in Okada and Elgin. Now, to say that AJ Styles has been in some memorable three-way dances over the past 10 years would be somewhat of an understatement. And when I say that, I think I know the three-way dance you're talking about. The one with AJ Styles, the one with Samoa Joe, and the one with Christopher Daniels, but I can tell you that's not the only awesome three-way. Go back, look at some of his matches with Low-Ki, look at some of the ladder wars with Low-Ki and Jerry Lynn, look at some of the other stuff, look at some of these scramble-type matches that AJ Styles has been in Ring of Honor and other places. In any case, for anyone who doesn't know Okada, Okada was an individual who back in 2006 wrestled extensively in Canada and in the United States. He also wrestled as Okada and as Okado, I believe, in TNA Impact Wrestling. He was the protege of the Pope D'Angelo Dinero, and when you see Okada come out, he has a very similar look, all the bling, all the flash. He puts his arms out, and much like the Pope D'Angelo Dinero, he makes it rain. He is the Rainmaker, one of the biggest stars in Japan, and probably the biggest breakout star in Japan over the past maybe 8 years. In any case, what we saw was the Japanese style of Okada meets the high-flying style of AJ Styles meets the power style of Michael Elgin. In my opinion, Michael Elgin, one of the strongest individuals in the sport of professional wrestling today. And let me bring up one thing he does not get credit for: his amazing cardio. Anyone out there who's ever read anything about powerlifting or does powerlift, you know when you do your max deadlift, when you do your max bench or your max squat, you might take 5 minutes off. You might only do 1 rep and then you sit down, you recoup. Here's a guy wrestling 30-minute matches, 40-minute matches. He had a 30-minute draw with AJ Styles not too long ago. And here's a guy who we actually saw. He Samoan dropped Okada. And at the same time he had AJ Styles, he gave him the SOS. He gave him the fallaway slam. That's probably 450 plus pounds. And he doesn't take a timeout. He doesn't have quartermen to give him water. He doesn't go sit out for 5 minutes. He stays in the action. Michael Elgin, and I'm going to say it here, whether it's in Japan, whether it's in Ring of Honor, whether it's in TNA, I don't know where it's going to be. Michael Elgin, I guarantee, as long as he does not have some type of injury that ends his career or threatens his career seriously, he is a future world champion in Ring of Honor or a future world heavyweight champion in TNA or in Japan, either in New Japan or maybe the GHC belt over in Pro Wrestling Noah. The fans behind everyone in this match, as it started though, they were really only behind AJ Styles and Okada. It took some doing for Michael Elgin to prove himself. As I've said in the past, I feel that Michael Elgin has to prove himself every time out. Not because he needs to, but it's almost like the fans forget. And to be the breakout match, the match that put Michael Elgin on the map, was Showdown in the Sun. Years ago, when he challenged Davey Richards for the Ring of Honor World Championship, to me, that was the coming out party for Michael Elgin. Michael Elgin since has broken away from Truth Martini, has become his own man, and is a phenomenal, not only power athlete, but the corkscrew sentons you see, the high-risk moves. This guy can fly when he wants to. He is spectacular. People making matches, please take notice of this individual, Michael Elgin. He is no joke. In this match, once again, we saw every trademark. We saw Michael Elgin execute what I believe is the best vertical delayed brainbuster / suplex in wrestling. He had Okada halfway up, AJ Styles gave him a boot. Michael Elgin puts Okada back down halfway. Okada's feet never touch the canvas. Michael Elgin picks him back up in that high vertical. That happens twice, at which point AJ Styles clips the knee of Michael Elgin and Elgin hits the suplex. We also saw a deadlift German on the 220, maybe 230-pound AJ Styles from Michael Elgin. Extremely hard to do. Elgin also with a deadlift suplex from the outside, off the top to the inside. If you guys don't know what I'm talking about, I don't know how to explain it to you. It's ridiculously awesome. Okada, one of the best vertical leaps in professional wrestling, and that says a lot, especially when he's in the ring with AJ Styles. Drilling both men with an extremely high standing dropkick. Michael Elgin and AJ Styles fall to the outside. Later on, we see Okada executing all of his trademarks. Executes that trademark tombstone. Goes for the Rainmaker pose. The problem was there was always a free man. There was always someone there to make the save. Let me tell you, one of the most disgusting lariats I've seen in a long time. It's called the Rainmaker. It's from Okada. He drilled Michael Elgin. Michael Elgin is no cruiserweight. He turned Michael Elgin inside out with it. That is the finishing move of Okada. And AJ Styles, at that point, had already executed the Springboard 450. We had already seen the Pele. We had already seen a number of dives and a number of trademark AJ Styles moves. Okada had the match won. Michael Elgin was out. It was AJ Styles off the ring apron with that springboard forearm. Drills Okada. Okada flew out of the ring. AJ Styles, the opportunist that he is, seizes the moment. Picked up Michael Elgin. Drills him at center ring with the Styles Clash. Sunset roll. 1, 2, 3. AJ Styles defeated Michael Elgin via pinfall to retain the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. The crowd went nuts. It's going to be May 25th. New Japan has already announced. Over in Japan, it's the return to Yokohama. AJ Styles will put that championship on the line against Okada. I will bring you the results of that match. In any case, what a spectacular event this was. What a spectacular showing this was from everyone involved. And let's not forget the other man involved. Let's not forget Steve Corino. Let's not forget Nigel McGuinness. Let's not forget Kevin Kelly on commentary. Bobby Cruz doing the ring announcing. When we talk about the referees, it was referee Paul Turner. We saw Todd Sinclair. Why don't people like Todd Sinclair, by the way? In any case, and we also saw Japanese legendary referee Tiger Hattori. He called the main event. Fans, it's been your host, Arachnid Soul. It's been, wait a minute. That did happen. We're not done yet. It was after the pay-per-view went off the air. Hiroshi Tanahashi hitting the ring, telling the fans that New Japan Pro Wrestling would be back. And at the same time, if you were watching at home, you saw the vignette of that bar scene. The apple teeny was laid down, the camera panned out, and onto the screen walked the fallen angel, Christopher Daniels. Daniels doing a brief interview and then saying, hey, you guys didn't think I was coming alone, did you? I'm going to be there for Best in the World. I'm going to be there at the next Ring of Honor pay-per-view. I'm going to be there, but I'm not coming alone. I'm bringing, and we didn't see his face, but we saw the shirt, we saw the taunt, and they called themselves the best tag team in the business. It's the Notorious KAZ, Frankie Kazarian. Bad Influence has returned to Ring of Honor. Fans, thank you for joining me. It's been your host, Arachnid Soul. Let me know what you thought about my review. Let me know what you thought about this awesome event. Please join me next time. Thank you, and good night.